Special Sutter County Board of Supervisors meeting on this day, April 29th, 2015. The agenda for this evening's special meeting is a speech contest. And since we start every meeting typically with the Pledge of Allegiance, I see the Yuba City Superintendent of Schools is here this evening, and I'm wondering if...
Will you do roll call first?
Oh, would you like to do... I'm sorry. We'll get back to the pledge in a minute. First, we need to do roll call.
Supervisor Solinger?
Here.
Supervisor Flores?
Here.
Supervisor Munger?
Here.
And Supervisor LeVake?
Here. Okay. Now, we'll be doing the pledge. Nancy, will you lead us in our pledge, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to welcome everyone for joining us tonight in tonight's public business from the floor high school speech contest. By law, during every regular meeting, there is a time set aside on the agenda for members of the public to speak to the Board of Supervisors on matters that are not on that night's agenda. By law, we're allowed to set reasonable time limits. And at our board meetings, the time limit is 3 minutes. With that said, I understand that each of you has filled out your yellow card and submitted it to our honorary clerk. The cards have been shuffled and speakers will be called at random. When you are called, please come to the podium, state your name and hometown. The clock will not begin on your 3 minutes until your actual speech. Be mindful of the clock, because part of the scoring tonight is whether you can limit your presentation to 3 minutes. The 5 board members, 4 of us tonight, will be the judges, and we have some help in tallying the score. I should say that our County Administrative Officer, Jim Arkins, is taking the place of Supervisor Jim Whitaker, and he will be also one of the judges. We will be asking those top 5 scores to attend the May 12th meeting of the Board of Supervisors to receive awards that will include, thanks to a $500 donation from the Active 2030 Club, and donations by individual members of the Board of Supervisors. $300 for first place, not bad. $200 for second place, and $100 for each of third, fourth, and fifth place finishers. Again, the Active 2030 Club, one of the many fine service clubs in Sutter County. There always has to be a first and a last at these things, and you say, well, I hope I don't get picked first, or I hope I don't get picked last, but unfortunately somebody always has to go first. And tonight, that lucky person is Tom Steele from Yuba City High School. Tom, welcome to the podium.
Hi, my name is Tom Steele, and I'm from Yuba City. We are all searching for a solution to the drought in California. As much as one may wish to wave a magic wand and fill our aquifers with the water we are so deprived of, the solution is not that simple. About 80% of California's water usage is dedicated to agriculture, and according to waterboards.gov, this water is being used very efficiently. This begs the question, what can be done to further improve this efficiency in order to handle the immediate issue? The solutions come in small changes across the entire system, which will sum up to an overall improvement to the water scarcity we are suffering with. Although Sutter County can't perform a rain dance and make water fall from the sky, we can further encourage our local residents to conserve water every day and reduce human wastefulness of our scarce resource. So this means that we must stop the hour-long showers. We must stop running sprinklers over dirt. Instead, we must educate people on not being so wasteful so that we can prevent a further worsening of the crisis. Sutter County already holds seminars to educate farmers on multiple topics, including water conservation. We can trust that these farmers are well informed because of these programs, and therefore we must extend these programs to the entire local population. Many small changes in the habits of our residents will help us take a step in the right direction toward water conservation and efficiency. But while we deal with the present, we must also look to the future, for it is the future we can have the biggest impact on. By revitalizing water infrastructure, we can impound more water so that in times like these, we have a supply to fall back on. Now, we cannot undo any damage that has already been done due to our current lack of water. However, by constructing this sort of water insurance program for the future, we will have some assurance of stability for when the rainfall stops again. Sutter County must act as a role model for other counties in California. We alone cannot stop the problem, but as an individual county, we can exemplify the community and economic values needed to handle the drought. Small steps and encouragements we make can result in a grand step that all of California takes, a step toward a more water-conscious California. Thank you.
Next on coming off the bench will be Micah Almas.
Is it all right if I close the laptop?
Sure.
All right. Can you start whenever? Okay. Remember the last time you were out doing yard work, playing a sport, or just lounge?
You want to state your name and then we're
Micah Almas, and I'm from Yuba City. Remember the last time you were out doing yard work, lounging around, or just playing a sport out in the sun? Imagine you finally stop playing and come inside and are ready for a drink. However, when you go to the faucet, it doesn't spew any water. This is extreme, but it could be a reality if we do not take action to respond to the drought California is experiencing. We need to allocate more resources to drought response, which is why our Board of Supervisors should write a letter to the state government to convey the feeling of its citizens. We need projects like the Gray Water Project, dam projects, and desalination facilities to reopen. The Gray Water Plan would save 20% of the water used in California. Gray water refers to our domestic wastewater that results from bathing and washing laundry. Once fresh, potable water has become gray water, it is a free resource. You've already paid for it the first time. Therefore, the collection and reuse of this gray water will not cost you or the environment any more than its initial use. This results in a significant water savings for your home, a reduction of your carbon footprint, and a cost savings to you as well. But what can I use my discarded gray water for, you ask? Gray water, obviously, cannot take the place of potable fresh water throughout your house. But there is one glaringly obvious application where the luxury and expensive potable water is not needed. In fact, it seems absolutely absurd to use this water for this application. And this application is flushing your toilets. Indeed, there are many systems and plans on the market today for applications that use gray water to irrigate a lawn and garden. It will actually reduce your household's monthly water consumption in addition to decreasing the load of purification waste treatment facilities. And since it will be completely contained within your private home, you should be able to build it yourself. Currently, we must dig 1,000 feet below ground level to reach usable water. This used to be 600 feet. And the depletion of groundwater has now lowered the Sac-Joaquin Valley 3 inches. We've exhausted many sources of water in the past and have not refilled these. Through building more dams, we can contain more rainwater that falls instead of it being wasted. Desalination facilities in Southern California have been closed, but should be reopened due to the dire situation of our drought. These facilities could convert 200 million gallons of saltwater to drinking water a year, but are closed due to financial reasons. Water is a human necessity which sustains life, and life is much more important than money. Since we are already deep into the drought, we cannot do much now but hope for rain, and we can work to prevent this in the future. Public elected officials like the Board of Supervisors are elected to represent the people of their community. With this in mind, it is their job to listen to us and try to deliver what we want. In this case, it is not only a want, but a need. With projects like using gray water, desalination, and building dams for the future, we can work to overcome this drought. What we cannot do is nothing at all. We as humans need water to survive, and none of us want to cut back on water usage. However, it's a necessity we must all suffer with in order to preserve our most valuable resource. Thank you.
The next person to speak will be Mara Johnson from Live Oak.
Good evening. My name is Mara Johnson from Live Oak. The United States is spending billions of dollars on the foster care system, and while many respectable things do come out of this system, too many awful things come out of it as well. Foster care is there to help children prosper, not to tear them down even further. The point is to give them a better life, and not to give the social workers and foster parents a more luxurious life with the money that they get from the federal funding. The current foster care system is generally funded by the federal government, and unfortunately, the system is corrupt and needs extensive reform. The children's best interest is not always met in foster care homes. Children are sexually, mentally, and physically abused in foster care. And I have witnessed this firsthand with my senior project. I am being a big sister figure to a foster child in our local community. And I have known her for 3 months, and she has moved 4 times in those 3 months. And I have actually been able to move with her from one home to the next, and I saw the emotional abuse that she went through, and no child deserves to go through that. And it's not her fault, and things need to be done about that. And as well as the physical abuse, I have a friend that was in foster care as a child, and she has been abused more than once, and they're put into these systems to get out of that situation, and they are just being put back into the situation. The system also abuses funds. For instance, in a period of 5 years, $9 million were uncovered in questionable expenses. This is an outrageous amount of money that has basically been stolen from the government. The foster care could be a great thing, but the current system needs a lot of work. If we are going to continue to spend billions of dollars on this system, it needs to be fixed. These children cannot help who their parents are, and they deserve to have the chance to have a good life. Foster care corruption is an ongoing dilemma, and these problems should be faced for the sake of the children and for the sake of our government's money going to the system that does what it's supposed to do. An article that gives 5 strategies is to strengthen families of origin, better support for caseworkers, educate the public, and help children deal with unresolved grief and loss. All of these can change the lives of children in our community for the better. Thank you for your consideration.
The next person randomly selected is Matthew Pimley from Sutter High School. Matthew, there you are. Got a fan already, Matthew.
Hello, my name is Matthew Pimley from Sutter. All right. Born and raised in the Northern Valley, the crop rotations have been as constant as night and day in my life. But now, our way of life as Californians is being threatened by drought, by financial pressure, but also by urban development. With our fertile soil and unmatched ability to provide America with produce, California is certainly one of the most important agricultural centers in the country. We produce over 2/3 of the country's carrots, half of our bell peppers, and over 80% of our peaches, strawberries, and processed tomatoes. In addition to staple fruits and vegetables, we also produce an astounding 90% and over of our broccoli, celery, and avocados. California is the 5th largest provider of food in the world. Needless to say, our agricultural output drives Californian economy, and without it, this county, the nation, and the world would suffer immensely. But California's food production industry is under attack. Rapid population increase and the demand for affordable housing presses city planners to spread out, enlarging cities, stretching further and further into usable farmland. About 2 out of 5 acres in California are used for grazing or farmland. However, almost 3.5 million acres have been urbanized, eliminating agriculture in those areas. If the trend continues, by 2050, we'll see another 1.5 million acres fall. That's about the size of 4 Sutter counties, followed by an annual loss of over $2 billion farm gate dollars to the state. The farming industry is already struggling, and yet we still infringe more and more on our most important field of production. But it doesn't have to be this way. City planners have been perfecting a new kind of development, smart growth. It focuses on compact, high-density neighborhoods in which we renew commercial business from within and consume vacant lots to produce more efficient communities that meet our needs without developing farmland. It only makes sense that smart growth prioritizes reducing greenhouse gas emissions, promoting compact development, and preserving farmland and open space. The 2010 census revealed that 8% of houses in California are vacant. That's over 1 million houses. Smart growth aims to renew these neighborhoods and utilize that space to produce more efficient communities. I believe that development is crucial to the recovery of Californian economy, but not at the expense of agriculture. That is why I take pride in Sutter County's Agricultural Department mission statement, where promoting and protecting agriculture is boldly stated. Because without agriculture, every sparkling city in the state loses its value. Cherish your farmers and protect their land. Thank you very much.
Next on our program will be Michael Reyes-Woolley from Yuba City.
My name is Michael Reyes-Woolley from Yuba City. Board of Supervisors, thank you for your time and attention to these pressing issues. I have come before you to discuss land usage in regard to agriculture use versus urban development. The national percentage of urban population versus rural population is 80% to 20%, while the California percentage is merely 87% to 13%. California, more specifically Northern California, is known for being the breadbasket of the nation, yet it is giving into and losing precious farmland to urbanization. If this trend were to continue, who would produce the products that California is the leading producer in? Will other states be able to produce these products in the absence of our valuable and such diverse farmland? Would our local economy survive without almonds, walnuts, and rice? As more people begin to flock in, there is a higher demand for housing, and we seem to sacrifice our rural areas in order to build more homes and spread further outward, occupying the land that feeds these newly relocated appetites. I firmly believe that it is evident with more people comes more mouths to feed. Will anyone acknowledge the association between increase in population and decrease in farmland? How can we continue to accept the migration of these new people while simultaneously reducing the amount of farmland needed to feed these people? I am sure you can all paint a picture portraying my stand on this subject. We cannot have more people than we can feed. This ultimately will bring us closer to social and economic disaster. You must be wondering what my intended solution is. I propose that, instead of combating the urban sprawl, we replace it with an urban rise. We must establish a business and residential moratorium where we limit new construction. Also, begin to build upwards rather than outwards. Unfortunately, soil is a non-renewable resource. We must therefore make conservation efforts with the remaining resources that are available to us. We must cease the mass construction of single-family homes and developments and begin the construction of multiple-story apartment complexes and condominiums. The construction of large superstores and business must follow suit. They must also build up and not out. For example, the establishment of underground parking for some of our larger stores. This will create a smaller overall carbon footprint and not decrease the tax money that comes from those stores and houses. nor will they impact any more of our agricultural land or wildlife areas. Thank you.
The next one that will be speaking is Priya Gill.
Good evening. My name is Priya Gill, and I am from Yuba City. Even in today's modern and digital world, libraries offer a place for their community members to learn and grow through outreach and various programs. Unfortunately, the Sutter County Library lacks proper funding to be able to provide such programming, which is a complete and utter disservice to Sutter County residents. I know that many of you may be thinking that in this modern era, is library funding even necessary because hard copy books are slowly becoming out of date? Well, there are currently over 40,000 active library accounts at the Sutter County Library, and the current funding to provide services for these users is abysmal. Currently, only 0.4%, or about $1.1 million of Sutter County's budget is allocated towards the Sutter County Public Library. The budget was cut by $1 million from 5 years ago. $819,000 of the library budget is being used towards salaries and employee benefits. This leaves only $348,000 to cover overhead costs, purchasing new books, and maintaining library programs for the entire fiscal year. One consequence of limited funding is the Sutter County Library hours. The library hours are only open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on weekdays, and with library closures on Sundays. This limits library access for working families and students trying to study for an exam. An additional consequence of limited funding to the Sutter County Library is the lack of programs. Library Director James Oxner shares, due to the budget cuts, we were forced to let go of a number of our employees. With a shortage of staff, the hours open at the library are very limited. Although we are very thankful for what we have, we would love to bring back our monthly poetry workshops and tutoring centers. However, we need more funding. The Sutter County Library can potentially become more than just a place where one can access books, but can become the center of our city. In no other place but a library can individuals come together and exchange ideas of culture and culture. A high school student, an Army veteran, or a struggling mother of three all have equal access to the services of the library. The library provides a safe second home to many of these residents. In 2017, the Sutter County Library will celebrate its 100 years of service to our community. Currently, the library is in desperate need of help so it can stay around for many generations to come. With an increase of funding, the library can be restored to its full potential, becoming a place for everyone to enjoy once again. So that being said, I ask you to please take action and increase the funding of our library today. Thank you.
Next on our program will be Carolina Valenzuela from Yuba City.
I have a PowerPoint. Hello everybody, my name is Carolina Valenzuela. I'm from Yuba City, and today I'm here to discuss with you the dangers of electronic nicotine products and youth access, and finally what you guys can do to help keep these illegal products out of the hands of our youth. What are e-cigarettes? E-cigarettes are battery-operated devices that heat up e-liquid, which is this, containing nicotine aerosols. Also referred to as e-cigs, hookah pens, vapes, etc. Teens and adults both believe that it's just water vapor, which is absolutely not true. E-cigarette aerosols contain at least 10 chemicals known to cause birth defects, cancer, and other reproductive harm. Secondhand chemical aerosols also contain comparable levels of nicotine to traditional secondhand smoke. We are seeing an increase in teen use. From 2011 to 2013, e-cigarette use among high schools tripled. high school students tripled. In 2014, teens used e-cigarettes more than the traditional cigarettes for the first time in California. Why they attract teens. Electronic nicotine products come in many enticing flavors and packaging that mimic popular candy items, such as this one, which mimics Jolly Ranchers. If you guys would like, I can pass them around or whatever. Okay. Here you go. Here you go. Okay. Youths are smoking these products in school because they are easily hidden and contain little to no tobacco smell. Many e-cigarettes look like highlighters and ballpoint pens. Youth can easily access these products. In a recent study of all tobacco retailers in Sutter County, they found that 100% of stores located near schools sell candy-flavored nicotine products, such as the one you guys are passing around, cotton candy, cherry, and so on. 90% of these stores sell these candy-flavored nicotine products for less than $1. In the 2014 tobacco sting in Sutter County, the sales rate of nicotine products to underage youth was 10%. Of those products illegally sold to youth, 80% were either flavored or electronic products. What can you do? Well, other local counties and cities, such as Placer County, City of Orville, and City of Orland, have adopted a tobacco retail license. A tobacco retail license would require all tobacco retailers to pay an annual fee, which in return would provide funding to local law enforcement to help enforce these existing tobacco laws. I'm here today to ask the Board of Supervisors to adopt a local tobacco retail ordinance, which has proven effective in keeping these nicotine products out of the hands of our youths and ultimately creating a healthier community and a healthier future for us all. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Juan Zermino.
Good afternoon, my name is Juan Zermino. For many years now, laws have been set in place in order to separate state and federal government-funded programs and religion. The establishment clause set in place in the First Amendment states that Congress cannot advance religion in public or government-funded programs. Despite this, attempts to weaken this wall that separates the two have been made in specific court cases regarding the Abington School District versus Schempp in 1963, as well as the Edwards versus Aguilar case in 1987, in which both court cases, Supreme Court ruled to uphold the establishment clause for the particular case. While the Supreme Court typically rules in favor of the establishment clause, many attempts have been made the majority of citizens do not still regard creationism, still don't stop from religion being included into schools. The most common case in which religion is incorporated into the public school education system is through creationism, the Christian form of the origins of how life came to exist on earth. Many states, including Louisiana and Tennessee, allow for creationism to be taught in public school systems, and other states such as Texas, Washington, D.C., Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, and many more allow for publicly funded charter schools to include creationism in their public school curriculum. One of the most well-known of these is the Responsive Ed program, the largest charter school program in Texas, which receives $82 million in a year, despite clear laws that prevent these publicly funded school areas from receiving public funds. Many procreationist advocates argue that evolution is not a set-in-stone theory and that many leading scientists actually discredit evolution, as well as arguing the case that it's simply not fair to include evolution while creationism is not allowed in schools. But the reality of this is that 97% of the scientific community rejects creationism as a credible science, and this statistic was done by the Pew Research Center in 2009. Evolution is tested for many years now and has showed clear evidence that it is a valid form of science. While laws are set in place to prevent this, often it is seen that these matters go unaddressed, and children simply get confused when these two conflicting scientific theories are taught at the same time. And it is for this reason that I believe you should petition to completely ban the instruction of this widely unsupported scientific theory from being taught in public school systems nationwide. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Next up is Dallas Johnson from Yuba City High School.
Hi, my name is Dallas Johnson, and I'm from Yuba City. Hello, I would like to discuss welfare. I feel as though welfare is definitely something that needs to be restructured. According to statisticbrain.com, there are currently over 63 million Americans who are on welfare, use food stamps, and or are unemployed. This number grows exponentially every day. Yes, a lot of these people do need the support. However, many of them abuse the system. When on welfare, the recipients are able to buy groceries, which are all name brand. These name brand products cost more than the off-named products. This, I believe, should be changed. I speak this from experience. My parents have 3 children, me, an 18-year-old who is attending a 4-year university this fall, a 16-year-old that will be a senior in high school next year, and a 7-week-old baby. I have seen my parents struggle, some months barely scraping by to pay the bills. Sometimes off-brand products are all my parents can afford with a tight budget. So if my parents work as hard as they do, with no support program whatsoever, and get off-brand products, why should the Americans on welfare get to be able to get the name brand products? Also, taxpayers, which are all of the American population, including my parents, pay for these people on welfare. Statisticbrain.com estimates that a total of $131.09 billion of the government spending is spent on welfare. This total doesn't even include unemployment and food stamps. Now, let me tell you a little story. I'm in line at the checkout of Walmart to pick up a few things for my mom. The woman in front of me has the debit card, which is now used instead of actual food stamps, to pay for her groceries. Yet, I noticed something about the woman. She's covered in tattoos, has 3 children, pregnant with another, has her nails done with a high-end purse on her shoulder, and is talking on her brand new iPhone 6 Plus. Another story is from one of my father's experiences. When he was younger, he was a courtesy clerk at a grocery store. When he helped a welfare recipient take their groceries to their car, the man drove a brand new Porsche. I believe that if you are on welfare, you should use this money for the intended need, to help support you and your children. Statisticbrain.com asserts that over 19% of people on welfare continue to stay on welfare for more than 5 years. Welfare is not completely bad per se. There are those people who really do need it. My aunt is friends with a woman who was on welfare, and she got laid off. A week later, her husband did as well. They had no source of income to support their newborn child as well as themselves. They turned to welfare until one of them could find a job. She told me it saved their lives. As soon as her husband found a job, they got off the welfare. This is an example of a family not abusing the system. All in all, I believe the requirements to obtain welfare should be stricter as the amount of time a family can be on welfare. People are getting on welfare way too easily, and many of the recipients don't need it. I believe this is something that can easily be fixed, so families that need the support can obtain it with ease and without a doubt in their mind. Thank you.
Our next speaker this evening is Katie Patrick from Sutter High School.
Hi, my name is Katie Patrick, and I'm a freshman at Sutter Union High School. I'm speaking to you today on behalf of the Sutter County Library. As in every town, the library is a fundamental and educationally important institution. It has provided children with an opportunity to learn and college students to study, adults to find the latest book, and young inquisitive minds to research as well. Not to mention, it's a quiet and cold place to read on a hot July day. Quoting from Sutter County's 2014-2015 recommended budget, per capita visits to the library are 50% higher than the statewide mean. This means that our library is greatly utilized. I have had my library card since I was 9 years old, and as a child, I participated in summer reading programs. Even now, the library is one of my favorite destinations in town. But through these tough financial times, library funding has decreased in a substantial amount. National spending on libraries is $36.18 per capita. Currently, Sutter County has been sending $8.87 per capita. These statistics scare me. Through these economically tough years, more rural branches of the library were hit hard. The Pleasant Grove branch of the library was closed completely. Work hours at Brown, Sutter, and Live Oak branches were reduced by approximately 40%, and general funding for newer and more books was reduced by 50%. However, against these statistics, I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for working out a way for our Sutter County Library to still operate. Many rural towns such as ours were forced to close their libraries due to economic losses. I am proud to say that our library has survived through the tough times, but I believe that it is vital to put more funding into its system. Therefore, I propose that more general funding be added to the Sutter and Live Oak branches of the library in order to keep books, new and old, available to eager-minded readers. And in order to stay relevant, technology is always needed in an update. The computers in the main branch haven't been updated in more than 5 years, and we all know that technology is moving faster than that. Some may say that what we have now is satisfactory, but I believe that our library can be so much more than that. The library is important to the residents of Sutter County, and with more attention and funding, it has the potential to be a library that will be envied by all. Thank you again for your continued support of the library we have now, and I hope to see progress in its future. Thank you.
Moving right along, we're already up to our 11th speaker. Wow. Anna Amin. Is it Amin?
It's Amin.
Ah, good, okay.
Hi, my name's Anna Amin, and I'm from Yuba City. Road maintenance. Let's face it, you all just thought of those orange signs and new paved roads, but let's take a detour. Maintenance simply means preventing any other faults to happen in our roads rather than upgrading it. We're meant to preserve them. You may think that this isn't really important, or what's the use, but that could not be more wrong. How many of you drive somewhere at least once a day? I mean, we all got here somehow. But how many of you have actually been in an accident on the road at least once within the last 6 months? So many people have been so safe on these roads because of our maintenance. Without maintaining the roads like we do, we would be a city of trouble and fender benders. You're risking your life every day when you go out and drive, because if just one worker ignores a bump in the road because it doesn't seem important, that could lead to God knows what. However, driving in Yuba City, the roads aren't always the best condition that they can be in. In the newer parts of town, the roads are great. They're paved perfectly with that nice charcoal color and yellow paint to it. Yeah, you all know what I'm talking about. However, driving in the older parts of town, the roads tend to get a little narrower and a little bumpier. Personally, I drive through both parts of town every day. I drive to River Valley every morning listening to my music on the way, just rolling through, not really paying attention to the road I'm driving on. Not as in I'm driving on the grass or anything. I'm a good driver. But then it comes time for swim practice at Gap, and I'm forced to drive through the older parts of town. Here, I have to be a bit more cautious because there are 3 lanes in what's a 2-way street around RV, and they're dense all over. Also, being in a school area around Yuba City High School, There's a lot more fresh new drivers that don't always have the best control of how they're going. This could potentially be dangerous, and ignoring the sustenance of road could lead to less school enrollment or a less populated area just because the roads are so unbearable. I believe the Board of Supervisors has done a great job in road maintenance in these newer, more active parts of town. However, I think it's time to focus on those neglected areas. We just need to prioritize and schedule regular checkup dates, just as we do when we go to the doctor. We don't necessarily need to have something done, but we need to maintain and regulate how things are going. A simple timeline could be created with specific areas of our town scheduled in months, and within those months, schedule certain days for checkup dates and actual road work. Maintaining the places in which our residents live should be a top priority for our city, and something so important can be done so easily. Believe in a better road so you won't get towed. I'm sorry that was really cheesy, but those were the only car references I knew that rhymed. Thank you.
The person that's going to be closing out our rostrum of speakers tonight is Guadalupe Hernandez from Yuba City High School.
My name's Guadalupe Hernandez. I'm from Yuba City. We as human beings often give sympathy towards people who are born with mental disabilities. Nevertheless, they are some of the brightest people because even though they are not able to process things as a normal human being, they are able to use other senses that work at a much faster pace. It seems that the treatments for some mental health disorders are incapable of being obtained for some middle or lower class families due to the cost. It leads back to the main focus that even though they might get more money in tax returns to help them economically, it is not enough since aside from providing that help, they also have other obligations. So we should encourage more mental health funding to make it a possibility for them to get treatment or medications to recuperate, as well as the participation in more community events that are going on. For example, Stigma-Free 2015 Sacramento Youth Celebration, recognizing Mental Health Month to increase the participants to realize that there are more people out there who are willing to help. We also need to help people who have someone in their family who might need treatments, that there are other options rather than just spending a lot of money towards something that may not be 100% cure. For example, I currently have an English teacher who wrote a book that helped people with autism because at that time she was in charge of a class that would help them. It was very successful, so they asked her to write a book about it. As of today, it is still something people have that will be an option in the future as more copies will be printed. Thank you.
I'd just like to say, before we get into asking each of our board members if they have comments, it's not easy doing what you're doing, and you're to be commended for even taking the time and the effort to speak up and speak out. Because along with getting an education in life, one of the things that you'll ultimately learn will help you as you go along in our life is being able to communicate. And those communication skills that you acquire from things like you're doing this evening will help you down the road, in my opinion. Being able to get your message out, being able to talk about your accomplishments educationally, your vocabulary, all of that's a real help, and this is a great place to start. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you for taking the time to participate, and you're to really be commended. And no matter who wins or who doesn't win, I just think it's great that those of you that are here have taken the time, and as chairman of the Sutter County Board of Supervisors, I'd just like to give you a personal, really big thank you and know that your efforts appreciated. And at this time, I'd like to introduce each one of our other members of the board that are with us this evening. Representing District Number 5 at the end is Our Lady, Barbara LeVake, who is our newest supervisor.
Express probably the sentiment of all the members of the board and staff here, but I would like to also say thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time and making the effort to prepare your presentations and to be here this evening. I know it's not easy. I can remember the first time I went before a board of supervisors, and I can tell you, even at my age now, when I have to go before a body of elected officials or appointed officials, it still makes me nervous. However, there's nothing wrong with that. I think you all did an excellent job in your presentations. I like the variety of topics, and this is a learning process, and the more you do it, the more prepared you will be. But there's nothing wrong with also being a little nervous before you go before some of these appointed and elected boards. So again, thank you very much.
To my immediate left is Supervisor Dan Flores, who represents District Number 2.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all I can say is ditto to both my colleagues here, to their compliments today for what you guys have done. But I want to ask you guys, the high school students in the crowd, if you could just raise your right hand right now. Just raise your right hand. Come on, Priya, play with me here. Raise your right hand. Okay, everybody, high school students, and all right, pat yourself on the back, please. All right, with your right hand. Yeah. I got to tell you, I was very impressed, and I'm, I guess, excited and proud that you guys come from Sutter County, and to know that you're the future leaders for us in this county and in this country as a whole means a lot to me. The way that you articulated your arguments today and that you presented yourself, I will tell you, was better than probably 90% of the adults that I've heard articulate at the podium. So nobody knows the 10% I'm talking about, but that is really impressive what you did. The topics, the preparation that you put into it tonight was impressive. You gave us a lot to think about, real topics that we're actually dealing with a lot right now. When you talked about water conservation and the drought, foster care, you taught us some new things tonight. Smart growth and agriculture came up a few times, which are obviously big issues for our economy here. The library services, we're going to head down there tomorrow and check out what's going on at the library. You talked about so many different things. The tobacco, and actually shared a sample of that with us, and kind of scary that you can actually buy those e-cigarettes. Religion taught in schools, welfare, road maintenance, and mental disabilities. I mean, just major topics that you did. So I just want to tell you that I am impressed as well. And again, thank you. I want to invite you, now that you've had your kind of flavor, that it is a little nerve-wracking coming at first, but you are invited to come anytime you want to come visit us here. Some of your classmates have actually come and done some tours of the county and seen how it's run. There's some great career opportunities for you as well at the county level, and you should take a look at it. And maybe someday you'll consider running against one of us as supervisors and kick the old guys out and come in and run the county for us as well. But thank you for the time you put into it, and great job. Give yourselves a round of applause for doing that. Really.
Representing District Number 3 is Supervisor Larry Munger, who's next on our dais up here.
I'd like to thank each one of you. Actually, this is the winners right here, every one of you, and you're our future leaders. And it's really interesting. Every one of you had a different take on different items. I was looking for a few things that on the topics, more what we can do as supervisors. There was a few things in there that, just to give you a hint, that they don't teach local government in school. They do state and federal. And a lot of things that you had, like the library, yes, we have a lot of control of the library. The roads that you talked about in the city, great But the county has nothing to do with the roads of the city. We do the rural area, and the city does the city. And this is a real misconception, but you did a great job on these. Mental health. Our biggest portion of our budget is mental health, and we have nothing to do with it. It's basically state and federal mandated. So there's not a lot of decisions we can really do about it, but it's a learning curve that we've got, and we have to have our young ones learn it. But you did a great job on what you're doing there. E-cigarettes, I see that's something that's going to come to us in the future. We had cigarettes. We did the ban, smoking in the restaurants many years ago. I see e-cigarettes coming before us. Matter of fact, the young lady, I may have her come speak at that time. It may be a good time that she can come speak on that one. Foster care is the same thing. It's really, we have our people that run it. Most of that money comes from the state and federal. And that's what else we have here. And the library, that is something that we do have control of. We've had to cut back a lot because of the budget constraints. The state took much of our money. And so we have to figure the ends, and the state's not a good business partner, and you'll find that out as you grow up. And so the next thing you know, we'll have to take from somebody else. And like this year, we're short already, $1 million? What?
We're down $1.5 million.
We're $1.5 million. We've got to figure out where we're going to cut. And so this is a learning thing, and for you young ones to know that, there's not money in every basket out there. We have to figure out where to cut, what department to cut. And so it's a challenge every year for staff and the supervisors to make a choice of what we cut and what we add. But in all, every one of you did a very good job. As far as I'm concerned, like I say, you kids are the winners right here, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't a winner. Thank you.
The gentleman at the end of our organization, our group here, is kind of the catalyst that holds the county together and makes sure that each department is running according to the way we hope it's supposed to. And he's the person that's primarily in charge of putting into effect the governance that supposedly comes from our Board of Supervisors. And his name is Jim Arkin, and he is the head guy for Sutter County that we all turn to, and I'll ask him if he has any final remarks about this evening that he can add.
I give all of you a lot of credit. I remember the first time I had the opportunity to speak in public was when I was selected to be the youngest member of my city council when I was 20, which seems like an eternity ago. And I was as nervous as could be, and you guys did a great job. All of you presented yourself very well. You had excellent topics, a lot of information for the board, and I do really give you credit for what you did tonight, because most people will not do it. So, thank you for coming. I think you did an excellent job. You presented excellent topics. Thank you.
All right.
Chair, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank Dan Flores for coming up with the idea. Dan came up with this idea here not too many weeks ago, and then that went right to the schools. And then Chuck Smith for putting it all together. I'd like to thank him. It's a lot of work in his behalf to get this organized. Thank you.
Are we going to ask Councilman Gill to come up and address the road issues? Another night, I guess. Okay.
Say again, at least this is a tie. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have first, second, third, and then 2/4. It's the top five.
Okay, where do we start first? At bottom? Okay.
Let me go on roll. Yeah, drum roll.
Unfortunately, there has to be winners and there are no losers, even if you don't necessarily finish in the top spot. In my humble opinion, as I've said to you earlier, just for participating, you should consider yourself a winner. And so if you're not in the number one spot, so you hone up on your skills a little bit. Maybe the next time you have an opportunity to express yourselves, take advantage of it. But we'll start, we're going to announce the winners this evening. There is a tie for fourth place. And the two people that, and these are all cash awards that you'll come back to the board, and Supervisor Flores will be giving out those cash awards at our next meeting. The two people that have finished tied for fourth are Anna Amin and Mara Johnson, and will be returning on the 8th of May. Third place this evening goes to Carolina Valenzuela. Wow, this is a toughie. First and second place are separated by 1 point. Second place, Katie Patrick, Sutter High School. Our first place speaker tonight is Preya Gill. Okay, all the shorties in the front row. Come on, guys.
Yeah, there you go.
5'2" and under in the front row, right?
All right, we got to stand like we like each other, guys.
Yeah. Man.
Sorry. That's good.
Turn, yeah, turn sideways, guys. That's the easiest way to turn a little sideways, and that's, you can bunch it up a little bit.